Building bridges of understanding, respect, and friendship. It isn't everyone who can rightfully claim Building Bridges or Bridges of Dialogue as the title of their own autobiography. But in the case of Dr. Victor Goldbloom, bridge building, whether religious, cultural, or linguistic, is what defined his life's work as a physician, a public figure, and a leader in the field of interreligious dialogue. Dr. Victor Goldbloom's 92 years embraced nearly a century of tumult and change in the relationship between Jews and Christians. As a Jewish boy growing up in predominantly Catholic Montreal, he experienced the anti-Jewish stereotypes and prejudices that were common at that time among many Christians. It was a world in which certain professions and certain types of high-level leadership positions were essentially closed to Jews, and Victor himself had to overcome administrative hurdles and biases to be admitted to medical school, eventually becoming a pediatrician. In June 1948, Victor married Sheila Barchet Rothstein, and the family had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. They were married for 67 years. It was in the mid-1960s that Victor first ventured into the world of politics, elected to the Quebec provincial legislature first in 1966 and 3 times re-elected, serving as the first Jewish cabinet minister in Quebec's history. He was in cabinet during the difficult days of the October crisis, when terrorists struck Quebec in 1970, and it was Victor who steered the organization of the 1976 Olympic Games held in Montreal. His entire lifetime was marked by community service and attention to the needs of others. A bridge builder between languages and cultures also, he served as Canada's Commissioner for Official Languages from 1991 to 1999. Always an active figure in Montreal's Jewish community, Victor Goldbloom first became involved in Christian-Jewish relations in the late 1960s. He was a longtime member of the Christian-Jewish Dialogue of Montreal until his death. From 1982 to 1990, he served as the president of the International Council of Christians and Jews and as one of its honorary presidents afterwards. He was passionately committed to the council's work and rarely missed its annual conferences around the world. Well into his late 80s, he served as one of the Jewish delegates to Canada's National Jewish-Christian Dialogue, where he was respected as a wise, thoughtful, and eloquent partner. Victor appreciated the incredible progress that had taken place in Jewish-Christian relations in the decades after the Second World War, but he never wanted people to forget what things had been like in the Quebec of his youth. When, in 2013, the Quebec government proposed a series of broad restrictions on religious apparel and practice in public settings, it was Victor, aged 90, who was one of those who spoke out gently but forcefully to reject that proposal. Victor's lifetime of public service was recognized and celebrated on many different levels. In the year 2000, he was inducted into the prestigious Order of Canada, and in 2012, Pope Benedict XVI conferred a papal knighthood on him, making him one of a small handful of Jews around the world to receive such an honor. Just a few months before his death, Dr. Goldbloom published his autobiography, in English, Building Bridges, and in French, even more expressively, Bridges of Dialogue. Large parts of his books are dedicated to his work in Jewish-Christian dialogue, to the people who shared it with him and the lessons he learned. When he died suddenly in February of 2016, Victor Goldbloom was still energetically pursuing dialogue between religious believers, still fostering friendships, still building bridges. Victor Charles Goldbloom was a Canadian interfaith pioneer, never letting us forget where we had come from, but always pointing us toward a brighter and a better future.